My girlfriend called for help from inside the cabin, but she wasn't there. My Bestafar Halvor left me his cabin. I think he also left me whatever lives in the woods around it. He built it with his own hands back in the 60s, deep in the forests of southern Norway. He was a carpenter, and every beam, every plank, every dovetail joint is a testament to the man he was: solid, quiet, strong. I spent my childhood summers there, chasing minnows in the creek and learning the names of the trees. When he died, my parents wanted to sell it, cash out. I couldn't let them. It felt like selling his ghost, so it became mine. The first time it happened was a couple of winters ago. The sun dies fast out here in January, and I pulled up to the little gravel clearing he called a parking lot in the deep blue of twilight. I killed the engine, the rumble vanishing into the pines, and strapped on my headlamp. I popped the boot, and the cold hit me like a fist. Then the world went dead. One moment, the wind was whispering through the branches. The next, nothing. No rustle of frozen leaves. No distant cry of a night bird. No hum of the world. The silence wasn't empty, it was full. A heavy, pressing weight that pushed on my eardrums. You think the forest is quiet at night, but it's not. It breathes, it shifts. This was the opposite of life. This was a held breath. My own breathing sounded like a bellows in my ears. I slowly swept the beam of my headlamp along the tree line, the stark white light carving tunnels into an absolute ink-black nothing. The trees stood like silent, skeletal judges. I flicked the headlamp off. Suddenly felt naked, a spotlight in the dark. Bestafar taught me that when the forest goes quiet, a predator is moving. You shut up and you don't draw attention. The cabin was 50 meters away, a lifetime. I could stay with the car, a metal and glass box, or I could make a run for the solid wood walls my grandfather had raised. I eased the boot of my car shut. The click was obscene, a gunshot in a cathedral. I didn't dare breathe as I crept to the driver's side door, my fingers fumbling with the handle. The latch broke the stillness with a deafening crack. And just like that, the sound of the world flooded back in. The wind sighed through the pines, a gentle shushing. The normal, living sounds of the night returned as if a switch had been flipped. I sat in my car for a long time, my heart hammering against my ribs. I tried to tell myself it was nothing, an atmospheric quirk, but I've never felt a quiet like that before, or since. It was a warning. 2 weeks later, I was back. Couldn't stay away. A crash from outside ripped me from a dead sleep. It was a hollow, wooden sound, a slam that echoed and died. I crawled out of bed, my feet hitting the cold floorboards, and peered through the blinds. The sound had come from the old playhouse, a little shed near the forest's edge where Bestafar kept his gardening tools. Its door was swinging drunkenly on one hinge. I know it was stupid. I know. But I pulled on my boots and a jacket, grabbed the heavy mag light from the counter, and went out. The cold was brutal, the air so sharp it hurt to breathe. A thin layer of snow, maybe a few centimeters, crunched under my feet. When I got to the shed, the big brass padlock was lying in the snow, unbroken, just open. And in the dusting of white were footprints. They ran in a line, hugging the edge of the property, before vanishing back into the suffocating darkness of the trees. A cold sweat prickled my neck. I slammed the shed door, not bothering with the lock, and scrambled back to the cabin. I paused on the porch, my hand on the doorknob, and looked back at the tree line. I couldn't see anything, but I could feel it, the unmistakable, reptilian brain certainty of being watched. A pressure in the air. Eyes on my back. I spent the rest of the night with the lights on, jumping at every creak of the old house. When the gray morning light finally broke, I went back out. The footprints were still there. They circled the whole clearing, a perfect perimeter. They looked bipedal, but the stride was immense, easily twice the length of my own. And the shape was wrong. Too narrow, the impression in the snow too deep, as if whatever made them was impossibly dense, impossibly heavy. Fast forward to last November. I was in bed, listening to some podcast, the voice a comforting drone in the dark. Then I heard it, a slow, heavy tread on the roof. Thump, drag, It wasn't a squirrel, it wasn't a branch. This had weight. It moved from the far end of the cabin, slowly, deliberately, until it stopped right over my bedroom. And then, silence. A different kind of silence this time. An expectant one. I lay there, rigid, staring at the pine ceiling, imagining the pressure of that weight just a few feet above my head. I must have laid there for an hour, maybe more, before exhaustion finally dragged me under. The next morning, I checked the attic. The pull-down door in the hallway ceiling was untouched, but when I got a chair and looked closer, I saw it. A single deep gouge in the wood, right next to the lock. It was wide and splintered, as if something had tried to pry it open with one enormous, sharp tool, and from the wound in the wood oozed a thick, dark resin that smelled of burnt pine and old blood. The worst was this summer. My girlfriend, Solveig, came with me. We needed the escape. One afternoon, she drove into town for groceries while I stayed back, watching some dumb movie. The kitchen is tucked around a corner from the living room, out of sight. That's where the back door is. Kate, her voice. Clear as a bell, coming from the kitchen. Can you give me a hand with these bags? I smiled, grabbing the remote to pause the movie. She must have gotten back early. I went to the front door and walked down the path toward the parking area, expecting to see her struggling with a trunk full of food. The gravel clearing was empty. Her car was gone. My blood went cold. A dizzying wave of disorientation washed over me. Did I dream it? Hallucinate her voice? My feet felt rooted to the spot. Go back to the cabin and see who or what called my name, or turn and run the 20 minutes down the gravel track to the main road. Shamefully, curiosity, or maybe just disbelief, won. I crept back to the front door, pushing it open just enough to peek inside. The cabin was still, quiet. And then I realized it wasn't just the cabin. The forest had gone silent again. That same heavy, suffocating blanket had fallen. My heart was a drum against my ribs as I went inside. I cleared the whole place, room by room, my hand shaking so bad I could barely hold the fireplace poker I'd grabbed. Nothing. No one was there. Everything was exactly as we'd left it, except for two things. The back door in the kitchen was unlocked, and on the linoleum floor, just inside the threshold, was a single, perfect, muddy footprint. It was long and narrow and impossibly deep.